See what I'm saying? The vibratos match. Come on, that's so cool. I like this, the delay going back in between left and right. I really like what's being done here in the mix, and I apologize to cut into the middle of her singing. So the keyboard player in that like doo on the left and right side, I'm not sure if you can hear it because I might have stuff on mono, but it's going left and right. And then on top of that, which I think is really cool, is how they're EQing it out. So they've basically gutted the piano, so it's just a bunch of highs, and then I don't even think there's super lows. And they left a lot of room for her. And it also, I think they've given her a 10K boost on 10K hertz up, so that you get that sizzle. If you listen to it, that sizzle sound is usually when someone boosts 10K a lot. That airy almost quality, that's not really coming from her voice, that's the mix. I love it. Clearly she's like holding back a little bit because it makes musical sense to do so. We're right in the beginning of the tune. There's no need to go too blot out right now. And she is straight toning, using just a slight bit of tension to do the straight tone on purpose. And I think it's really good decision making.
So I'm in the middle of editing this right now, and I just realized I didn't point out that the musical development that's happening is largely just the adding of more instruments, which is a really great idea and a very simple idea that we could all benefit from employing every now and then.
And there is not one question, no.
This is so smart too. What she's doing that I really, really, really love is she's in time, most definitely. Her consonants are really in time. But what's really, I think, mature in terms of her musical decision making is that she is not punching her consonants. She's smoothly gliding through everything while she's also perfectly on time. So she's legato while she has, like, guitars are more of a percussive instrument. She's definitely got drums. The keys are going left, right into a certain rhythm. The bass is like a more percussive instrument and that doesn't have a lot of sustain. So she has percussion, percussion, percussion all around her. And so to make that contrast and to have her, like, a different layer of nuance, she's doing it very legato, which means smooth. It's very, very smooth. There's a lot going on here. He's got that bass face. I think we moved to 6/8. We changed time signatures here. Yeah, we just changed from 6/8 to 4/4.
What we moved into is called 4/4, and that's where we started as well. 4/4 is marching time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, that's 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ooh. Ooh, I love it. Oh, man. Okay, so the way that she kind of tails off and lets the trumpet take over, let's listen to the vowels and the tone that she's doing and the dynamic and how that trumpet player is right there ready to take it. Ready? Slides away from the mic to get a different dynamic. She's on an ooh vowel, which is like already kind of like really soft, and she just kind of lets it go out there and disappear while the trumpet player comes in there. This drummer is sick too. They matched each other's vibrato. Check this out from the trumpet and her. See what I'm saying? The vibratos match. Come on, that's so cool. That's really good. So I say this a lot when you're in your low end, if you don't have a bright vowel, your low end tends to disappear. If you're in the super basement of your voice. So if I'm, that has a risk of going flat and being lost, especially going, right? So if I want it to make sense, I would do, and that makes it even, more even, if I have that bright vowel on the bottom. See what I'm getting at? I love these switches and these yodels. You know, everyone always, when they're learning, they kind of always get frustrated that like things flip into falsetto, like, and so they try to smooth that out and they try to hide it. But you can use that yodel. Right? Like when you're switching between that. And it gives, particularly if you're doing it in a run, you can get really, really cool nuance, like punching. You can choose that you're going to want to flip there in order to give it emphasis. And it's funny, I talked to one singer who actually does their scales on breaks, like, like just to practice it. Mine's are, I don't really train that, so it's really messy, but it's really cool when people do it because it's one of those things where it's a little naughty, but she's doing it expertly, and I think that's awesome. See what I'm saying? Come on.
So don't when I don't dance, so never something in common.
Her scatting is ridiculous. That's particularly difficult. That like that's the only way I know how to do it is to tap the larynx. But she's doing it without tapping. That's more that breaking, that intentional cracking. Again, like you can, if you want to do that, you can do that. Which is a fun little trick, but she don't need no tricks. Her ahs and ohs, which she's playing with a lot. So like what's cool about the ah vowel is very bright, has a lot going on. Ah versus the o vowel. Ah, right? O is a little bit smoother. It's a little bit more round, a little bit more luscious. And she's playing with that. She's going, you know, ahs and ohs to shape the phrases in the way that she wants to. So it's not just those yodels, it's the ahs and the ohs to make them different. Every note is a little different from another. Because if you don't do that, all you get is scale, 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 run, 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 and it's boring. It's not musical. She is making each individual note stand out by manipulating the vowels to change frequencies, to give them differences, in addition to voice cracking on purpose. It's really, really intricate stuff. And this is really cool too what the instrumentation is doing here. So this is a ton of fuzz and distortion on those lower. I'm not sure if it's the keyboard or the bass, but there's a lot of fuzz and distortion. And so these background singers have no choice but to go for the higher frequencies. And so they do that with brighter vowels and just like like a more belty than thyroid tilt. Thyroid tilt warms up the voice. Right, makes it more classical sounding. They can't do that here with all the frequencies that are being occupied by the lower range instruments. So they're going, right, very bright, intentional on purpose. A lot of what happens when you're mixing live is to make sure that the instrumentation and the parts that each instrument are on are not fighting with one another. That's a huge part about making music in any setting. You have to make sure you're not stepping on people's toes and that there's room for the instrument that you're putting on the set. And in this case, it's really smart. Listen to this low end, this fuzz, this big, funky distortion, and then these brassy singers coming in. Now, as those singers back out, you hear the keyboards come in, like the original keyboard sound that we had, and that's bringing that organ sound is bringing that brightness back into the mix. Little key change right there, a little different chord to bring in some different flavors. There's a lot of musicianship going on here. It's just like P-funk, but I like it better. It's definitely a lot more jazzy, and no offense to the singers in P-funk, but Lalah Hathaway probably has their number, and she's just on another level. Listen to her use of consonants during the scatting. We get D, which is a voiced consonant, right? If you don't voice your consonant on D, you get T, T, D, D, right? And so she's doing D instead of T or any sort of like that because it allows for a pitched consonant. This is very on purpose. It allows you to scat with a little more percussion, right? And she's doing that, and she's switching it out with just vowels, right? And she's using different vowels to shape the phrase and stuff like that. It's just a whole bunch of scatting goodness. Ooh, little flat note in the scale there on purpose. She's just like, oof. So whenever you have certain chords in jazz, this is more strictly like applies to jazz theory. Whenever you're on chords, you can use certain scales or certain arpeggios. And I wish I had my freaking correct piano plug-in. But like one of the things you can do is like, it's just a bunch of stacked minor thirds, and you can do that on a 5 chord. And so you can make certain things minor, which is to flat them by a half step. And you can do that in certain places when certain chords pop up. And listen to that. She's flatting a particular note in the scale, and it works still, but it's not like she's not modulating and she's singing out of the key. And this is very much something that jazz musicians develop a taste for. And it doesn't really show up in the same way in other genres. That's so cool. You can see the faces. I was going to react to it, but that takes the cake. Bass guy's going, and the guitar player's like, they've changed faces, right? That's the guitar player. That's the bass face, and they've switched roles. Lalah Hathaway has broken the instrumentalists, ladies and gentlemen. I know she can do that, but every time she does it, it still slaps my mind silly. I do not understand how that is accomplished. I've learned a lot about the human voice, but this stumps me every single time. I just don't know how it works. Because she can tune them. She has control over the intervals, and it's like usually when this happens, it's a sign there's a vocal polyp or some vocal damage. Because if the folds are like this, imagine when you fret a guitar string. Imagine if you played the note here behind the pinky that's on the fret, and then also played the note up here near the head of the guitar. So when you have a vocal nodule, that's what happens. As your folds come together, there's this little thing separating them, and so they start to oscillate and create different pitches. This is vocal damage, but that's not what's happening here, because if you do that with vocal damage, you don't have control. It's going to happen where it happens, and you don't have a say in the matter. So she does it with complete and utter control, which means she does not have vocal damage, and she just can do this. I don't have any idea how. Everyone's like, what the hell? Everyone, like, why do I need to react? Why does any voice teacher need to react to this? It's right in the darn video. Everyone's like, what? I don't know. I've been playing with her for how long? We just rehearsed this 3 times, and this is still what the heck?
I just want to inject another note here so that we can all appreciate just how awesome jazz training and jazz musicianship is. Most of the time when jazz musicians get together, they really haven't practiced. And that is only possible because of jazz theory and the understanding that they have as musicians and how they can work together. It's a really cool thing that I don't really think exists in other genres.
That's what I mean by like controlling the pitches, right? She's a violinist. I guess it would be a double stop if you're trying to make these certain intervals work in certain context, and it's particularly demanding because as a singer we usually do things melodically instead of harmonically. We always think melodically, but what she's doing here is she's combining like a fourth or a third or whatever intervals is making sense right then and there. So this is scatting on like dimensional 200 IQ level that like I think it's better than Ella Fitzgerald.
Excuse me?
Okay.
Just on the virtue that she can do this in a way that is accompanying herself and is in the harmony that she is in. She's on the chord that she is on by herself. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.